Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing another Victorian style ornament. And if you enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Enjoy. So I'm going to start with this clear plastic ornament that I got from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to make some decorations for it using this air-dried clay from Crayola. It's just white. I'll be painting everything later. So I'm going to do a couple different things with this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sort of a band to go the whole way around the ornament. Just a flat band, and then I'm going to add more embellishments on the outside of that. And in order to make sure I get the right size, I took a piece of paper and cut it the size of the circumference of the ornament. And then I'm going to make the clay as long as that piece of paper. So I made this piece of clay pretty thin. And once it's long enough, I'm going to use the piece of paper to trim the edges to get a straight edge and to cut it to the exact size I wanted it. And I added a little hot glue underneath the clay to help it stick. So the next thing I did was I took this mold I bought on Amazon that is holly leaves. And I used the smallest size of the holly leaf, and I just molded the clay to get some holly leaves to put onto the ornament. And I did hot glue underneath these pieces of clay as well. So I did 2 holly leaves on top of the band. And I will do some more later, but then I decided to also make some bells to put on the band. I also added some smaller holly leaves, and then I put those around the rest of the ornament. I used a couple different sizes. So now we come to a sad thing, which, as you can see, some of my band has cracked. Some of my little pieces have fallen off. And I learned this the hard way, is that the clay, when you put it on something like this round ornament and it dries, it's going to shrink a little bit. So when it dries, it will crack. So I looked up what to do, and basically they suggested making sort of a little paste with some more clay and some water. So I tried that, and while it didn't look as good as the original band, so I may look into different kinds of clay if I want to do this again, it did work. I was able to get it to stick on, and I just fixed the pieces, all the pieces that cracked, using this method, and re-sticking on all the other little pieces that fell off. After that happened, I let that dry, and I decided to put a row of hot glue all the way around the top and the bottom of the band. And I think I added a little bit more glue onto the little pieces that were not part of the band, and then around all of the little embellishments I put on the band itself. Since I'm going to be painting this, it probably won't matter whether I have hot glue or clay underneath the paint. So after the hot glue had hardened, the first thing I'm going to do is do the whole ornament with a coat of white paint, sort of as a primer. And I'm going to take out the top of the ornament. I'm going to paint that anyway. So I'm using Shutter Art paint, acrylic paint in white for the primer. the next thing I did was I took some metallic gold acrylic paint, also from Shutter Art. And I'm going to paint all of the parts that are not covered in clay. So the next step was to take some black acrylic paint, and this is Folk Art, just black. And I'm going to paint the entire ornament in black, except for the embellishments, the holly and the bells. I'm also going to paint the ornament topper with the black. Now, painting it gold before I did the black may not have been necessary, but I knew I was going to want to do a couple coats of paint to get a good, nice thick coat on it. So I figured since I'm going to be painting it gold on top of the black, that I might as well start with that. Once the black had dried, I'm going to paint the little detailed pieces. So I'm going to start off with the green, the Shutter Art green, to do all the holly leaves. And I just used a fine brush and went over the tops and the sides of each piece. And I did some red next for the berries and the ribbons on the Christmas bells. Then for the band around the middle, I'm using this Waverly semi-gloss red. I thought that the semi-gloss would be nice since the rest of it's going to be sort of metallic. So I'm just doing a thin coat, and I'll do 2 coats of this the whole way around the middle of the ball. And in between coats of red for the belt in the middle, I'm going to paint the top and bottom with the gold that I used earlier. So it's the Shutter Art metallic gold. Now I'm trying to do, I'll say, a thinner coat of it, because I don't want the black to show through, but I do want to make it look like it's antique. So I'm doing a really thin coat. And it's also getting a little bit of the red from the band, and I think that actually made it look kind of nice. I'm also doing a little bit of gold with the finer tip brush to paint the bells. So again, I'm trying for the antique sort of look, so I'm not doing a thick coat, just a very thin, so they still look sort of antique-ish. So I also did the second coat of red paint on the band, and I'm going to do a second coat of the green to make the green of the holly leaves stand out a little more, because the paint does soak into the clay a little bit. After that, I took the gold and I did a little bit more, not over the whole thing, but sort of to make it more highlighted in some of the areas. It was a little too dark, I think, but I still left plenty of the sort of darkish color for the antique look. And I also put a layer of the gold on top of the black for the ornament top. Next, I took some of the Rust-Oleum metallic gold, which is a little lighter than the Shutter Art metallic gold. And I'm going to add some accent and also put a line of gold around the red band to make it look a little more like a piece of ribbon. that was done, I decided to add a little bit of dry brushing of the gold onto the red band. I thought that would make a nice highlight to it. Plus, it turned out a little not as smooth as I would have liked, like I said at the beginning, with the way the clay had worked. So I wanted to give it a little bit of a patina on top to make it look even more antique. I think it turned out really antique looking and really beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.